Early morning, everyone. T-Speaker 222 XRP Future Millionaire with the side bet on XLM and Future. Did you bet OG? So, guys, we might be getting an impulse wave here. You've seen it bounce off the 45,600, which is actually what you would want to do if you're going to get an impulse. And that's why I said 48, 49,000 could be where we're going if we had a nice break up in volume. We don't really have a big burst in volume, but this very well could turn into an impulse wave where we go back up and retest the old resistance. I don't know if it's going to get that high. That was a sudden burst, and that could just be a fake out. But I like to keep you guys up to the date, up to the minute. So you look at some of these that haven't even broke out at all. Doge. If we did have an impulse wave up, I wouldn't expect it to go terribly high, but that's what I was saying earlier. You could get a 10 to 15% burst on some of these. But this could very easily just be, hey, we went up to the top, and now we're going to crash back down. But that was a nice, if you look at it in the 5 minute, it's a pretty nice burst of volume right there. So, I mean, that could show you that we could come up into the next level. I mean, we did have a burst of volume. I like to be on it when it happens. So this is either something, some kind of impulse wave that's going to bring us to the resistance zones again and, you know, overall fail, or this was just a sudden burst up and it's going to come right back down like a sudden fake out. So that's what we have to watch right now. But that was a nice little burst of volume that came in. So it's going to be interesting to see if this actually pushes up, because you try to look for a volume burst, and that was a sudden burst of volume. So if I was looking at some things, you could see a 5 or 10% move on some things pretty quickly in the short term. Yeah, Zill had a nice burst up on that volume spike, because now these look like they could be building a zone, and that's what we were waiting for all day yesterday. That's why I said there could be some nice swing trades that develop, but we don't know. Some of you guys took individual shots when they hit good zones last night on Zill. I know some people took it on V-Chain when we made that dip overnight, and those are the spots. And like what it just did, how we crashed down into zones, those are good spots to try to take a chance and see if we can get back up to the top of the zone. Because right now, with a bounce like that, it could be building something like this. You know, it has a nice footing. And if it wants to come around more, it would have to burst up again. But that's where you would get, you know, you would either come up here and then you're like, oh, it created a quick head and shoulders in the pattern. But those can be 10 to 15% bursts. So then I start looking across the board, and this bounced off of its little wedge on the bottom. Actually, most of them did. And it was basically from the bottom of the triangle to the top. But it did push through a zone for Bitcoin that it was stuck at. But right here, if we're talking about a breakout, you would want to see another equal push to get us over this 47,322. Because that could be the breakout candle if it produces another push. So we're going to stay on top of this, and you're going to stay on top of this, because if it's a breakout candle, some of these are going to burst. And Doge has been stuck for days. XRP has been stuck in this range for a couple days. So I would expect to move to 118 to 120 if we burst up. If we don't, we're just stuck in this zone and we just can't get out of it. That was the biggest burst of volume, though, I've noticed in XRP in quite some time to the up direction. So that is promising, at least, for a short burst. See how we picked up volume? That's a positive trend right there in the short term. But like I said, watch very carefully, because this can be a fake out. If you're in a position, I would hold it, because there's no reason to not ride this and see if we can hit 48,000 now that we bursted back into the 47,000 zone. If Bitcoin gets back into 48,000, that's when some of these like XLM, XRP, DGB will start to, you know, they can get up. DGB had a nice burst from the bottom. About 5% right there. Now, if we can get like if this is more of like a footing and you can get like a layer to this, it would make it into something. If not, it would just come right back down, because we're at the top of it. Well, we kind of went through that little part that we were in. So Bitcoin, what we're looking for is another burst up. You know, possibly something like this. But this could be what gets us into my 48,000 zone. That's why I said it's likely we get in there. That's why I put that support resistance right there. I drew it yesterday and I told you guys about it. I didn't know if it was going to get in there, but the longer we stay at this support level without breaking through, we're going to have to get some structure to break through this level. There's not enough volume to push us through, so now we're going to go back up. And it would make perfect sense to get up to 48,000. It really would. With this kind of a structure, it would make perfect sense. And that's why I said it earlier. I said it yesterday. But I also, know how quickly we can liquidate. So it's a risk-reward thing right now. Look for sums that are in the red right now, in case we did have a move up. Besides quant, because quant works opposite a lot of times of Bitcoin. You got stores down here. That's still in the red today. So if Bitcoin were to make a move to 48,000, that's a possibility. AMP is coming on it was kind of on a reversal. So it came down on a bullish dip here. So if Bitcoin did turn around, AMP would be a nice one to get into. Crypto market cap's up 4.6 trillion. So we're having some movement. ADA's up 5%. So the market is moving slightly, but we're still in these zones right now. If we want to make a run, we have to break out of this zone. Bitcoin would have to do the whole market a favor. And when you get bursts like that, and it holds like that, in the 5 minute and in the 1 minute, and it doesn't collapse on itself, this is looking like it could go up another layer. I'm thinking it's going to do something like that, and it could get us into the 48,000 zone. Usually if you're going to break up like that and it's just a quick fake out, you'll come up real quick, and then you guys know you have this immediate pullback. So you'd be like, and it comes right back down. This held very well. So that's what I'm thinking. That's what I'm seeing. Make your best educated and informed decisions. If you're wondering what I have done, I do the same thing as I always do. I'm watching the same pattern. And when Doge went down and made that pull down to 24.8, I got back in because that was my buy zone, because I sold for a profit, hit 24.8, and I said, you know what? Bitcoin started bouncing, so I pulled the trigger immediately. I have no regret. And I told Julie, if it costs me money, I'm going to cash myself some money out and, work from a lower region, because I'm not going to keep gambling back and forth, and I have to put it to an amount where I won't gamble back and forth. But so I took one last gamble, and if it doesn't pan out, I'm withdrawing my money down to 3,500, and that's what I'm going to use and build up from there, because then I'm just going to keep the money on the side so that I don't keep losing it on the in and out fees. Even though I didn't lose anything yesterday, it can get to a point today, if this goes south, even if I sell out at 24.8, where I could lose myself $100, even though I didn't lose anything, and then I'm going to be pissed. And then the swing trading will be over. But I had a buy-in zone if it was about to bounce off of it, and it did. It held real nicely on Doge's candle, right down, right before it bounced up. I had 3 minutes, 4 minutes, and then it took a mild bounce up. And then when it did this, I pulled the trigger right here at 24.89. Right when I seen it right down, what is this, the third candle down, 24.87. And when it did this pull down, it was right here on this the green candle. It went up to 25, came down to 24.91. So it was right in that range right there. And then it pulled down to here, and then it came right up. So I feel pretty good about that spot just because of what it did. But I also know in the back of my head that this can fall right through, and Doge isn't going to do anything of substance until Bitcoin makes a move to 48,000. All I'm trying to play for is that 28 cents, unless it shows me a better structure. But as of right now, I'm trying to play for the 28 cents, and because I've been watching Doge so closely, I have the Dogecoin NU channel, that every time it hits a certain spot and looks like it's going to hold, that's where I'm willing to play it. And 24.8 area seems to be ultimate resistance right now. And it allows me to get a quick, burst up of a couple percent so that I'm not down right away and I can get my buy-in cost back. But I'm also expecting Bitcoin, because it finally bounced off of the exact spot where it would have been bearish or bullish. That's a bullish indicator that it had that kind of volume coming off of it, at least for the short term. And if we could get something real quick out of Bitcoin where it fools everybody one last time, right? Or Bitcoin. We've seen Bitcoin do this a lot. And then before you know what's going on, it's... I could totally see something like that. And that's what I'm playing on. But if you're playing that kind of a swing, it's going to be quick and swift because Bitcoin isn't going to last. I don't know if this is going to be a sustainable run. Doesn't look like it. But it does look like it could be a run up to a certain level. And if you're taking a gamble, this, you know, obviously pay attention. So I'm going to release this so that you guys can see what I'm thinking and what I'm doing. Stay blessed.